Welcome to the Fox 54 Week in Review. I'm Gabe Glassman. It's the only place in North Alabama to get the week's local headlines condensed into one program. Here's a taste of what's ahead. Our top story this week, ICE raids earlier this week in Alabama have left some immigrants fearful for their safety, regardless of their immigration status. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo talked to an attorney and a local resident about the issues.
Thousands across the state fearful about whether they'll be rounded up in the next raid from Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's a part of a federal crackdown on illegal immigration that's targeting criminals with local immigrant communities caught in the crossfire. This comes after immigration raids across the state yesterday, leaving dozens behind bars. But many here say they are afraid to even leave their homes. 554's Caleb Aguayo spoke with members of the Huntsville Hispanic community about how they're getting by.
Immigration enforcement is a top concern among immigrant communities around the Tennessee Valley as part of a daily quota of 3,000 people that ICE has to detain across the country. Alabama was the latest hotspot for those ICE raids and detentions just yesterday. Law enforcement executed 14 search warrants and arrested nearly 50 people across 6 counties. Most of the raids were in Central and South Alabama, with law enforcement searching mainly for criminals involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and human trafficking. As part of a wider crackdown on illegal immigration across the southern border, with ICE arresting thousands in various raids across several major cities in the U.S., immigration lawyers in North Alabama say the pressure is likely coming here next.
We know that ICE is going to ramp up more arrests, and in light of the raids in South Alabama, I believe we're probably going to see some raids like that here in North Alabama and also Central Alabama.
Gonzalez Dollar says for immigration proceedings, you have to provide your name, address, and phone number, but the strict enforcement creates a situation where people aren't seeking out the processes to stay here legally.
It's actually having the opposite effect of what we would really want for people to become legal that are here in the United States. It's actually doing the opposite, and people are going into hiding, and they probably will stay into hiding until the storm blows over, so to speak.
That also creates an environment where many feel they can't go out in public for fear of being detained. That includes trips to the store, work, doctor's appointments, and even legal immigration check-ins.
Cuando hay redadas nos afecta porque no podemos salir tan confiados, pero también afecta a los lugares como de trabajo, por ejemplo, las colonias donde están iniciando las construcciones de casas. Entonces hay redadas y la gente deja de trabajar, deja de asistir a esos lugares. Los campos, igual dejamos de ir a los campos. Si sales, te pueden revisar, te pueden parar o te pueden preguntar sobre tu estatus migratorio.
Several people I talked to today say they're living in fear of being detained, but they're doing everything in their power to abide by the law and go through the right avenues for permanent citizenship. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
That fear creating a chilling effect for those seeking to be processed legally.
Another story with implications for the Tennessee Valley and beyond: new rules for where libraries must keep certain books or risk losing their funding. The Alabama Public Library Service moving to restrict anything involving, quote, gender ideology after a battle between a Prattville law firm and Read Freely Alabama. Clark Law Group LLC alleges Alabama's library system is free to ban books to protect children from explicit material under recent case law. Read Freely saying those cases don't apply here. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo has more.
The debate started Monday with Clark Law Group submitting a letter to APLS, saying 2 recent cases in the U.S. Supreme Court and the Fifth Circuit allow the state library system to ban books they deem inappropriate. Those cases, Little v. Llano County and Free Speech Coalition Incorporated v. Paxton. The books they'll now restrict meant to protect children from sexually explicit material in the library.
I think there's a heightened need to protect children as opposed to, let's say having them in the adult section. It's of greater importance that we make it to where it's not so easily accessible for all children. But if you want to order it from Amazon in your own home and give it to your kid, awesome. More power to you.
But Read Freely Alabama, a local organization seeking to protect books from being banned, fired back with a letter of their own, saying Alabama isn't bound by Louisiana's Fifth Circuit rulings. In addition, they say the Supreme Court ruling doesn't inherently allow books to be removed from libraries. Christy Schallenberger with Read Freely says it's a dangerous line to walk, adding that parents, rather than the government, should be the ones to dictate what their kids read.
If you are, one, abdicating your role as a parent to oversee books, and two, also not trusting the child to obey you, then that to me sounds like a parenting problem, not the public's problem. Adults can check out these books, but why do you want libraries to just be accessible to 18 and up?
APLS took these letters into consideration at this morning's board meeting, but ultimately moved to restrict books involving any sexual content, including sex education, from children under 18. Board Chairman John Wall said in a statement that he's standing behind the federal push to remove these books from the public library system. He said, Alabama libraries should be places where families feel safe, respected, and welcome. That starts with keeping divisive political agendas out of collections dedicated to children. Adding, the Alabama Public Library Service has taken a strong stand in defense of parental rights, biological truth, and the innocence of childhood. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
The APLS has instructed all public libraries in Alabama to move these books to the adult section immediately or violate state and federal law, risking having all public funds pulled. The city of Huntsville gave residents the chance to comment on two big developments: the future of the historic Huntsville Depot and the Greenway expansion. Also, more details were released on Madison's Toyota Field expansion and Huntsville Hospital's plan to build 2 freestanding ERs.
A beloved downtown Huntsville landmark is the focus of a new vision plan, and the city leaders want the community's input. Tonight marked the first of 2 listening sessions to gather ideas for what will become of the historic Huntsville Depot site. The property includes the original 1860 structure, the oldest surviving railroad depot in Alabama, along with several outbuildings, green space, and a replica roundhouse. City planners say the goal is to create a sustainable space that preserves history while opening the door to new uses. Our Ken McCoy has more on what residents want to see at the site.
What happens next at the Huntsville Depot is a question city leaders don't want to answer alone.
This has been a place that has touched people in Huntsville for years and years and years.
Tonight's listening session gave residents a chance to share their vision for the future of this 7-acre site. The original depot still stands, but surrounding it are green spaces, outbuildings, and a connected greenway, all of it open for new ideas.
We want to make sure we don't miss any ideas. As we come through and start looking at what we can do with this, we need input from everybody. 1,400 ideas came in off the first survey. Out of those 1,400, lots of different ideas. So we've got to now start to discern through there, look at what we have here, and then start to come together and merge some of those ideas into a plan.
City planners say everything from public use to commercial development is on the table, but there are limitations to what can and can't be built.
So you really start to, as you get a sense of the kind of constraints around the site, really understand that it's really going to be a public amenity, most likely, that things that are a little bit more intense probably aren't going to work.
Tonight's meeting follows the closing of an online survey earlier this week, but another listening session is planned for Wednesday. City officials stress this is just the beginning and more chances to weigh in will come as the project moves forward.
We're still going through the survey because we just closed it. So we'll start digesting that, get a sense of what are some of the bigger trends that we want. Are folks really oriented towards an education piece? Do folks really like the idea of, say, a cafe or a restaurant on the ground floor of the depot? Maybe create a few options. I'd say maybe this fall we come back, we engage in more activities like this.
Fortunately, time is on resident side as the city says that this project will take several years to complete and that community input will be heard throughout the process. Here in Huntsville, Kim McCoy, Fox 54 News.
And for you early risers, the second listening session is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the depot. If you can't make it, don't worry. The city tells Fox 54 that there will be plenty more opportunities for you to provide feedback as the project develops.
Tonight, Huntsville residents were invited to City Hall for an open house to take a look at the progress of the North Huntsville Greenway expansion and to give their thoughts on the current state of the project. Here you can see the concept of the expansion that was approved last August. It would connect the future Sky Bridge, creating a direct path from Low Mill in downtown to Alabama A&M University. Tonight, a new vision of the project was presented to the public.
I think the impetus of the project is looking across the country at some of these catalytic open space and greenway investments and how they're not just about open space and recreation, which is wonderful, but they're also about catalysts for community development. So the city was looking for a plan that would both provide details and a vision about how the open space trails and new pocket parks would work in North Huntsville, but also look at what that might spur in terms of positive change around it.
I think a lot of parts of Huntsville are underserved and not even thought about. People come to Huntsville and they think of it as, oh, it's downtown or it's the park or it's the Space and Rocket Center. And it's way more than that. So getting people into those areas in a different way is a brilliant thing to do.
Green space is definitely good because it's very appealing. Everybody loves it. I'm equally impressed that they're also planning on redeveloping a lot of the space for retail, for stores, for restaurants, because let's be honest, a green space is only as good as all the places you can go to the bathroom.
I live about a 15-minute bike ride from here. I biked here today. As you can maybe tell, I'm a little sweaty, still hot. But I'm really excited for new greenway, new bike paths to make it safer for me and my family to bike down here and bike to the local shops.
I think the city hopes that they can move quickly into implementation of this project. It won't all be built at one time. That's the one thing I know. It'll probably be built in segments. So there'll be discussions, and we're actually asking people tonight about which priority section would you start with, because it'll happen over several years.
If you couldn't make it to tonight's open house, a second event is planned for the near future. For the latest on the Greenway expansion, go to FOX54.com. The Toyota Field renovation conversation was picked back up at tonight's Madison Planning Commission meeting to discuss and unanimously approve the location, character, and extent of an additional building. The new building totals around 16,000 square feet and would be in the left field of the ballpark. City officials tell Fox 54 this is just another step in the process toward bringing the field into compliance.
It's required as part of a normal process of a city facility for the Planning Commission to review the location, character, and extent of this addition to ensure it meets with city plans.
The staff report from the Planning Commission describes a two-story building, the first level making the home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas meet MLB requirements.
That just brings us into compliance with MLB requirements as part of the locker room that puts no parity between visitor and home team, and then also provides for changing space for female umpires that are coming in 2026.
While plans describe a two-story building, city and team officials confirm this is part of the same plan approved by Madison City Council back in May for a one-story space.
It's not a two-story building. It is built with sufficient foundation and footings so that you could build on it in the future, which was part of the original plan anyway.
You remember when we built Madison Hospital, we built an extra ability to put an extra floor on the top of it. So they built it, and they actually didn't build the top floor, but they built that whole structure so it would support an extra floor, and it didn't take a year or two for them to need it. So they fill it out. So that's why it's a smart thing to do.
The quote-unquote second level of the space, an open-air concourse built on top of the building for fans to walk across.
It just extends the amount of square footage that folks can stand on as a concourse out beyond left field. That's all.
The city will be accepting construction bids for the multi-million-dollar project until August 5th. Toyota Field has to meet MLB standard by opening day 2026, plus a 60-day grace period in order to remain in compliance.
Huntsville Hospital is looking to expand once again, but this time on a smaller scale. The hospital system announcing today it is seeking state approval to build 2 new emergency departments in the Huntsville area, pending state approval. The new departments would be located in Hampton Cove and North Huntsville. Huntsville Hospital CEO Jeff Sams explained why these emergency departments are needed for the hospital system.
Everybody knows the trauma center gets really busy and there's traffic and there's wait times. And we think now is the perfect time to invest in freestanding emergency departments that bring a very high level of care, one in Hampton Cove and one in North Huntsville, that will make it much easier for folks that live in those communities to access emergency services and also take pressure off the big emergency department here in Huntsville.
And at Madison Hospital, the emergency department is preparing for another expansion that would add 6 more beds to the department.
We kind of moved some things around and found a spot where we can add 6 more treatment rooms. That's about a 25% expansion of what we can do there in Madison, and we hope alleviates any wait times there. And that ER is incredibly popular with the community in Madison. They support the hospital so well, and we just want to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure they get service when they need it.
SAMS estimates that the cost for each new emergency department will cost around $30 million.
Next, we take you around the valley. First, Colbert County, where locals met with TVA to discuss a proposed solar project. Then to Arab, where residents are asking for safety improvements along Highway 231. And finally, to Decatur to talk about the North Alabama first responders helping with rescue efforts in Texas.
A meeting tonight at Colbert Heights High School to hear residents' concerns about a proposed solar plant the TVA wants to build just south of Tuscumbia. The hope is to build a new energy facility to bring even more power to North Alabama. The project would carve power-producing space out of family farmland and a historic spot right next to the site in Colbert County, leaving some residents frustrated with the proposal, but others think the energy would bring new tech and business to the Shoals. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo takes us to the meeting to hear what residents have to say.
Not everyone is on board with a massive new solar energy plant TVA is hoping to build in Colbert County. While it's only in the stage where TVA is conducting its environmental review, many residents say it'll have a greater impact on people around the area.
We need farmland. We don't need solar farms on farmland. Do we need solar farms? Maybe, but put them somewhere not on farmland. Again, over parking lots, over buildings, can go lots of different places.
I'm all for advancing technology, but if it comes to tearing up our land and just desecrating everything we've known ever since childhood, I've lived around here all my life. No, I don't want that. Let's put it back in the woods where it needs to be, not out here where everybody's got to look at it. You know, if it works one place, it'll work another.
Somebody that spent $300,000 building a house, now the solar farms popped up near them. They've worked hard to build that $300,000 house, and when they go to sell it, the marketability of that house is now going to drop to $150,000 or less because nobody's going to want to be right near a solar farm.
If you ain't got power, you don't have lights, you don't have air conditioner. But you know, you got to have power. People mad about it, which, you know, if that's what they, you know. But me, I look at it as surviving, really. Ask these farmers, they fixing to see it.
They take the farm, they run the farm, they take care of the land, they put the panels up. We have no maintenance on the land once the panels are put up. They take care of it for 30 years. We have no outgoing expenses. Once you do farming, you have outgoing expenses every year. You're rolling the dice. It's just like going to Vegas and putting money on the crap table. If it rains, you have good crops. If it doesn't rain, you don't have good crops.
Well, the next step is for TVA to take these concerns they heard tonight into its environmental review. Then they'll move on to the phase where they decide whether to move forward or abandon the idea altogether.
Residents over in Arab are concerned about a spot on Highway 231 they're calling extremely dangerous, with one killed in a car accident on that very stretch just 2 weeks ago. One concerned resident has recently started a petition regarding this very issue. It already has hundreds of signatures asking ALDOT to evaluate and address the damage, calling it a safety concern. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo tells us why one concerned citizen is going beyond just raising awareness.
It is a very, very, very known problem with residents in the area.
That's what people in Arab are saying about a stretch of road along US 231. When the water's high, it causes cars to slip and slide, potentially sending them over the edge of the roadway. That's what happened to the wife of Reed Rainwater, who organized a petition to put some kind of safety barricade along that stretch.
She hydroplaned, crossed over into the opposite lane, and then crashed at the bottom of a 30-foot ravine. She got a traumatic brain injury from that accident, and nearly a year later, we still don't know if she's going to fully recover from that.
This right here is the ravine in question. Most recently, this was the site where Huntsville City employees crashed in a single vehicle wreck, killing one and injuring the other two inside the car. Rainwater says he's looking for answers and a solution, saying something needs to be done about it.
We need to absolutely fix this issue. At the very minimum, it needs to be a guardrail. At the most, optimistically, we need to address the drainage problems on that part of the highway. because it always collects standing water. And even if you're going slow, way under the speed limit, there is always a risk for hydroplaning.
Rainwater started the petition on change.org, where it's already gotten over 1,500 signatures. He's asking lawmakers at the state level to address the issue, hoping to reach the right people so it makes its way to the Alabama Department of Transportation.
I've contacted the governor all the way down to the local level. I've got plans to meet with Mayor Jocelyn. Even though this is a state issue, I still want to get his thoughts on how I can move forward with getting traction, ruffling the right feathers, if you will, to try to get this done.
When asked about the site, AlDOT's Public Information Officer Seth Burkett said simply, "We're reviewing their concerns, but Rainwater won't stop fighting." He says it's all to protect other families from a dangerous yet highly commuted area. In Arab, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
Rainwater says a guardrail would serve as a layer of protection to reduce the severity of crashes and keep cars from leaving the roadway entirely.
The state of Alabama making an impact amid the deadly Texas floods by sending its best and brightest to help with rescue and recovery. 3 state task forces arrived in Kerr County, Texas this morning to assist with land and water rescues ahead of more forecasted rain. They're 15 strong, each with advanced expertise in rescue and recovery, firefighting, and paramedicine. The goal to help Texans in the lowest searched areas first. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo shows us the team.
Among the state task forces heading to Texas are some of Alabama's most experienced recovery specialists. Swiftwater rescues were the main focus, with 2 teams helping out from across the state. Alabama Task Force 2 from near Birmingham, along with Task Force 1 from South Alabama, teamed up with Alabama Task Force 3's recovery specialists from Fort Payne, Gunnersville, and Decatur. They headed out over the weekend and arrived in Texas this morning.
They are highly trained individuals who are, the majority of these folks are paramedics, firefighters. They have every technical rescue discipline you can think of, search and rescue, structural collapse, rope rescue, swiftwater rescue, confined space.
The first Swiftwater expert team from South Alabama went down before the weekend, and the second from Central and North Alabama joined them this morning. Governor Kay Ivey released a statement today about the deployment of Task Forces 1 and 2, saying, "We're sending more boots on the ground from Central and North Alabama, and these brave men and women are trained, prepared, and committed to making a difference." She added, "As long as there's help to be given, Alabama will be in the fight." That's what fire chiefs around the state are saying about the deployment. While the teams are heroes, it's not about them. It's about helping where help is due.
That's why you're at the fire department. It's always to help people, whether it be in your own home state or over in Texas or wherever there's an emergency going on. That's what these guys prepare for. That's what they train for, and that's just the kind of people they are. They're always willing to help.
This is not about making us look good. This is about helping people, and this is a rough time for them, and so we try not to put that out there more than we have to. And so it's not a hero thing. It's not a look at us thing. It's we're going to help because it's the right thing to do. And if we were in the situation, they would be doing that for us.
They'll be in Kerr County, Texas for 2 weeks to help local fire departments around the affected region. In Decatur, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
Their 2-week stint starts today. They're on the ground with ongoing rescue operations in Texas. Some of those efforts were paused over the weekend because of more rain. They resume the search today. Fox 54 is proud to be a part of ongoing recovery efforts for the people impacted by the floods in Texas. You can scan the QR code on your screen and help by donating to our Tegna Texas Flood Relief Fund. Your dollars go directly to flood victims who need help now.
And from the sports desk, it was a big week with SEC, SWAC, and UAC Media Days. Fox 54 was there for all of it.
Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and Jalen Milroe, those are the 3 Alabama starting quarterbacks over the last 5 seasons, all 3 talented and drafted. Now Tide fans await their successor. And at the end of the spring, the Alabama coaching staff made it clear that Ty Simpson was the leader of the pack heading into the fall. 3 months later, Coach DeBoer says nothing has changed.
There's nothing that's happened as far as practicing. Ty Simpson would be the guy that would take the first snaps and be our starter. Challenged all of them at that time that they have to continue to take the strides. They got to continue in their own ways, improve. They've really, I know, worked hard to do that, and excited to see that progress 2 weeks from today.
Simpson has already spent 3 seasons in Tuscaloosa, but has seen limited playing time, throwing for 381 yards and rushing for 3 touchdowns in that span. Coach DeBoer shed light on what he thinks some of the redshirt junior's most positive attributes are.
Throws a catchable ball. He's smart. He's been in college football now. He's going year 4. He's seen the ups and downs. He's got great relationships with the team. He's a leader that way. He's really owned things, I think, on another level.
DeBoer says Simpson, Austin Mack, and Keelan Russell have taken 100% of the snaps so far. The competition resumes in 2 weeks, July 30th, with the start of fall camp.
A brand new college football season is right around the corner, and a true indicator of that are media days, which have dominated our sports coverage throughout the week. Sam Shea took part in his first media day session with the Southwestern Athletic Conference on Wednesday. The Birmingham native is working diligently to reshape the roster and football culture on the Hill. The A&M Bulldogs have not had a season in which their record was over the 500 mark since 2021. Shea, a former All-SEC player, is getting his guys to buy into his philosophy of being on the chase and excited to do so in the SWAC.
It's been a really good journey, and we're glad to be in the SWAC because I feel like the SWAC is the best conference in FCS football. I really do. When you look top to bottom, I think that our teams can play with anybody in the country.
We got everything down packed, communicating a lot. Everybody looks good on the field, honestly. And we're really just ready for the season.
Coach Shade and company have a tough schedule ahead, and the preseason predictions are not in their favor either. The Bulldogs were picked to finish 4th in the SWAC East Division. Reigning SWAC and Celebration Bowl champ Jackson State is picked to repeat in the East, followed by FAMU and Alabama State. Over in the West, the Southern Jags are the preseason favorite to win that division, followed by Alcorn State. Here in Birmingham, SWAC football media days beginning with a huge announcement from Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan. Beginning in August, SWAC TV will launch as the conference's official streaming platform. Alongside the ESPN family of networks and HBCU Go, SWAC TV will provide viewers with another opportunity to check out their favorite content and games, and it's all free. According to the SWAC commissioner, this project has been in the works for a few years now. It will be a game changer for the conference when it comes to streaming media.
We have a strategic plan where now we're going to have it on our devices. We're looking within 3 to 5 years to have it on some form of streaming platform like a Roku TV or Samsung TV or Pluto TV. And then by year 7, we look to have that on some form of network. So we kind of stole some ideas from the Sun Belt and the SEC. Been working on it for about 3 years, and we're excited. It's going to give us a greater level of exposure. And it's not just football. It's going to be volleyball. It's going to be track. It's going to be soccer. So we're going to highlight all 18 of our sports.
This season, 45 games will air on SWAC TV, and it all begins on August the 30th when Southern travels to Mississippi Valley State. Covering SWAC football media days in Birmingham, I'm Mo Carter for Fox 54 Sports.
The North Alabama Lions are prepping for one more season at the historic Brawley Stadium before moving into a new home. And the team still has a lot to do before kickoff happens. Fox 54's Gabe Glassman joins us from Nashville, Tennessee, where the United Athletic Conference Media Day was held earlier.
North Alabama football is right around the corner, and here at UAC Media Days in Nashville, Tennessee, the Lions talked about the upcoming year.
You feel like we just ended last year. We're jumping in. I'm excited about this team that we've put together.
The 2025 UNA Lions are going into the new year with multiple leaders in the locker room.
We've seen a lot of guys who have stepped up into new leadership roles and more vocal leaders, and if we see something that's not right, we'll fix it.
Everybody knows the standard and what to expect. And we have a lot of new guys that came in. So nurturing them to the culture and getting them up to standard has really helped us out so far.
And the Lions here at the United Athletic Conference Media Day say this team has bonded together in the offseason.
I think this is one of the close-knitted teams that I've been on since I've been in high school.
I'm just really excited to see what happens this fall.
Head coach Brent Dearman is heading into his 3rd season at the helm, but for him, it doesn't matter how many years he's been in the position. He says the number of wins matters more.
I want to win, and we haven't done enough winning. We've done some good things. We've taken some good steps, but at the end of the day, you got to win football games. We get judged based off of winning games, and so we need to win more.
UNA heads into the year as one of the underdogs in the UAC, tied for 7th in the conference preseason coaches poll. The Lions say those rankings just adds motivation.
I want to start the preseason every year at the bottom of the poll because the preseason poll means nothing. The only poll that matters is the postseason one.
That's something you hang on the lockers. You know, you tap it in the locker room every day and remind them, like, you know, this is what people think of you. So you go out there and you prove them wrong every time.
We're ready to push forward and prove people wrong, and we're just ready to do it for our fans because we have the best fans around. They support us, and we owe it to the fans to win.
Coach Dearwin says there's still a lot of decisions to make before kickoff and before the final season at Brawley Stadium. From Nashville, Tennessee, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 Sports.
The Lions will host their final home opener at Brawley Stadium on September 13th when they host the Northeastern State Riverhawks in Week 3.
Let's wrap up this week with a long overdue tribute. World War II Private Mac Kidd was sent to his final resting place 81 years after his death. He was killed in Burma as part of the famed Merrill's Marauders. His remains only recently identified through DNA testing. Now, he's finally coming home. In Limestone County, a hero finally comes home. Private Mac Kidd, a North Alabama native who died in World War II, is being laid to rest more than 80 years after he was killed in battle. Fox 54's Ken McCoy has more on how the community is paying their respects.
It's a homecoming 8 decades in the making. As you can see behind me, riding groups from across North Alabama have gathered here at the Ardmore Welcome Center to honor a man they say gave everything to his country. His journey home has touched hearts across North Alabama.
Paying our respect, the fact that this 20-year-old 81 years ago sacrificed his life and his family for us to be able to stand here.
And today the community came together to give him the welcome he always deserved.
I'm from a family with veterans, and I just wanted to lend my support to the family as well as for they paid the ultimate sacrifice as well.
Private Mac Kidd was just 19 years old when he was killed during battle while fighting in Burma in 1942. His remains were recently identified back in February through DNA testing thanks to the Defense POW MIA accounting agency. Now, after all these years, he's back here at home and community members shared that it's their honor to pay tribute.
He's coming home and we're here. As soon as he enters Alabama, we're going to escort him to his final resting place. And we're honored to be able to give this hero the welcome he deserves and bring him on home.
I had a son just return. He's only in the National Guard, returned from AIT recently, but he could easily be deployed at any time, and want to show support for him as much as anybody supported that young man.
It's very important to show our respect. My whole group.
This is extremely important to us as veterans, especially as combat veterans. These are our brothers in arms, and especially someone who made the ultimate sacrifice. There's nothing we won't do.
Today's procession will accompany Kidd to Lawrence Funeral Home with a formal ceremony planned for next week. In Ardmore, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Thank you, Ken. Kidd will be laid to rest with full military honors on Saturday, July 26th at Friendship Cemetery in Danville, Alabama, beside his daughter. A great story there, honoring a hero who sacrificed everything for this country. Thank you for watching Fox 54's Week in Review. Count on Fox 54 Plus to bring you more great programming with in-depth local specials, locked on sports, true crime, cooking shows, wellness experts, and continuing weather coverage. For everyone at Fox 54 News, I'm Gabe Glassman. Have a great weekend.